If you're a coach who's ready to make six figures, this video might be one of the most important ones you see all year. After helping thousands of coaches, I've discovered some clear patterns between the coaches who do make six figures and those who don't. I'm about to show you what those are, because if you can learn to think like a six-figure coach, it's only a matter of time before you get there. Hey, my name's Jason Moss. I'm a multi-six-figure business coach, and I help coaches launch and grow their businesses. And before we dive in, if you're looking for a roadmap that you can follow to help you sign 2, 3, 4 or more coaching clients month after month into your business, I put together a free client attraction guide you're definitely going to want to check out too. And all you got to do to get it is click the link above or in the description down below. So after working with and helping so many different six-figure coaches, I've learned that there are 10 key patterns about those coaches and how they think that I want to share with you in this video. Because if you can adopt these patterns, you're going to be well on your way to making six figures too. The first thing, six-figure coaches have a bias towards action. The most successful coaches I work with aren't sitting around thinking about things all day. They are focused on how do I take action in my business to move things forward. They'll choose a direction, they'll go out there, they'll start creating content, and they'll test things out, and they'll see how people respond, and they'll use that to help them get clarity. The truth is momentum and movement and progress in a coaching business comes through action. It does not come primarily through thinking. But if you can develop that bias towards action, you'll be well on your way to making six figures as a coach. The second big mindset key six-figure coaches have is an abundance mindset. Generally, the more successful a coach is, the more oriented they are around abundance rather than scarcity. And this can often show up in really subtle ways in a coaching business. As an example, how do you think about your clients? Are you afraid to niche down because you're afraid that there won't be enough clients for you? This is an example of a scarcity mindset or scarcity belief versus the abundance mindset of there are more than enough clients out there for me, no matter what. And I can choose to be specific and picky in terms of the types of people I work with because I know there are more than enough people out there for me. Just one example of an abundance mindset. When I first started my coaching business, I was so afraid of investing into mentors and guides because I thought the best way to create wealth was to hold on to every penny. I wasn't generous. I didn't give. I didn't let money flow in my life. But the abundance mindset of there's always more coming in means I can be more comfortable with giving things away and also letting go of money in the terms of investments, which is why, personally I've invested probably about $100,000 the last few years into hiring mentors and coaches. There's no way I would have been able to scale to near 7 figures without it. So how do you think about money? How do you think about your clients? And looking at the difference between that abundance and scarcity mindset as it shows up in your business. This can be very, tricky and insidious. The more rooted you are in abundance, generally, the more successful you're going to be in your coaching business. And that brings us to number 3, which is six-figure coaches are decisive and committed. One of the biggest things that creates momentum in a business is decision. The ability to actually choose a path, to commit to something, and to say, this is what I'm doing. Indecision, waffling, being back and forth on something, being on the fence about what your niche is, your offer, what your marketing plan is, all these things that create this kind of paralysis can often be solved through you just making a commitment and a decision to go down a certain path. And you're going to learn so much more from that decision and that commitment, even if you go down the wrong path. It's okay. And this also goes to how they think about making investment decisions. One of the biggest questions I get oftentimes from coaches is how do I get people who are more like the types of people who I'll get on a sales call with and they'll sign up like on the call rather than thinking about it for weeks. And my answer is always, well, the first thing you do is you become more decisive in your own life because it's impossible to lead somebody else to making a decision if you're the type of person who, when you go to the supermarket and you look at the deodorant aisle, you spend like 30 minutes reading labels and trying to figure out like the perfect deodorant for you rather than just saying like, this is the one. So the more decisive you can become, the more committed you can become in your own life, the more that you will start to attract the types of people who are more decisive and committed when it comes to working with you. That brings us to number 4, which is the heart of service. The most successful coaches, six-figure plus coaches, are always grounded in the heart of service. What it means is that their primary orientation is how do I help rather than how do I get. This is a big shift for a lot of people when it comes to marketing, when it comes to sales. Do you show up to a sales call thinking about how am I going to close this person? Or do you show up to that conversation thinking, how can I help this person get where they want to be? When you're not showing up to every interaction trying to get something, you can be more grounded in that place where you can be curious and ask questions and explore where someone else is at and how to genuinely help them. This is the energy that's going to bring you clients. So rooting putting yourself every day in the heart of service and really staying grounded in that energy. It's not easy to do, but you can practice this on a daily basis. That's gonna help you get more clients and ultimately reach that six-figure mark as a business owner. And that brings us to the fifth mindset tip, which is six-figure coaches place as high a priority on developing their business skills as they do their coaching skills. I talk to a lot of coaches who, are great coaches. They're amazing at what they do. You get them in a room with someone and they can really help someone and transform their lives, but they're broke. And I'm like, well, what are you doing? And they're like, well, I'm investing in all these certifications and spending all my money on trying to learn how to be a better coach. And then I ask them, well, what are you doing to develop your marketing skills or your sales skills or your business skills? And they're like, nothing really. They kind of subscribe to this mindset of like, if I just become the best coach that I can be, then, clients are going to fall from the sky. And the truth is, this doesn't work. This doesn't happen. Your ability to create success as a business owner, as a coach, rests as much, if not more so in many cases, on your ability to run a business and market yourself successfully and sell successfully as it does your coaching skills. This is one of the reasons why we provide so much training and support in our programs around marketing and sales, because for most coaches, that's the missing piece, right? They're great at what they do, but they need help in terms of actually running a business. So do you have this piece in place? And if not, are you prioritizing this? And if not, no surprise that you're not getting clients or not getting the number of clients that you want. And that brings us to number 6, which is six-figure coaches invest in themselves and their business. Now, of course, I'm a business coach. I'm here to sell you things. So you take this however you want to take it. But here's the truth. When I started investing in hiring mentors and guides and coaches myself, that was the point where truly my business took off. When I started leveraging the experience of other people, what I learned was you really have two options when it comes to growing a business. You can do things the hard way. You can, trial and error your way to success. And it takes a lot of time and you're gonna make a lot of mistakes. Or you can leverage the experience of someone else who has been through those mistakes and can say, don't go down that road because I've been there before and you're gonna waste a bunch of time. We can give you the fast track. But again and again and again, when I think about where I am today, last year we did over $500,000 in sales in my coaching business. This year, we're projected to do at least $1 million. When I think about that, there's no way I would have been able to make that happen without the mentors and the guides and the coaches and the tens and tens of thousands of dollars that I've invested into working with those people to help me. Not only does it make it so much easier for you to actually run a business, but there's a level of congruence that starts to happen when you do that. You show up to conversations, sales calls with a different energy because you're not asking somebody to do something that you're not doing yourself. It's like, I wouldn't invest, in this myself, but I'm asking you to do it. That doesn't work. You got to have that alignment, right? So it starts with walking the walk, and it starts with being the kind of person who's invested in your own personal growth and the growth of your business. That brings us to number 7, which is six-figure coaches are self-reflective. One of the biggest qualities that I think has helped me create success in my coaching business is the ability to step back and reflect on what's working and what's not. And it sounds obvious when I say this, but I see so many coaches who are going out and marketing themselves. They're doing a bunch of things, but they don't have any time that they've set aside to step back and ask themselves what's working and what isn't. And because of that, they're missing out on super valuable insights and things that they can integrate into what they do to help them stop doing the things that aren't working. Because most coaches that I work with, like one of the first things I do when I look at a coach and their business is, I look at, okay, well, what's working and what isn't. And oftentimes like 50% of what they're doing doesn't actually even need to be done. And so I think this quality of self-reflectiveness is super important when it comes to success as a coach and your ability to scale to 6 figures and beyond that. Do you have time every week where you're setting aside a block on your calendar to just sit back and ask yourself, what am I doing right now that's working? And what am I doing that isn't? And how can I double down more on the things that are working and the things that are effective? What are the lessons that I learned this past week? Maybe I did 3 sales calls and one of them closed, but the 2 other ones, they weren't really good. Like, why weren't they good? Like, what can I learn from that? And what did I do really well on that one sales call? This practice of just having this time set aside on a weekly basis, such a great amplifier in terms of your success as a coach. And that brings us to number 8, which is 6-figure coaches have consistent output and energy. This is one thing that I've learned. I've been coaching since 2016. I've been running online businesses for close to 20 years now. There is not like a magic bullet. As much as business coaches like me love to, make it sound like there is, the truth is one of the biggest ingredients to success and scaling to six figures is consistency. You got to show up over the long run and continue to do the work. Otherwise, you're not going to create success. And so consistency really has two pieces. Oftentimes when people talk about consistency, they're talking about the first piece, which is the output piece. Are you, creating X amount of, content per week? Are you creating X number of videos or whatever it is on a regular basis? That's one piece of this. But I think the other piece of this is equally important, which is consistent energy. Having things that you're doing on a daily basis to ground you into a specific state of being, of consciousness, like the ability to show up grounded in abundance, as an example. Can you do that consistently on a daily basis? Or do your days look like roller coasters where it's like, one day you're feeling really good and then you have a terrible sales call and suddenly you're like derailed for like the next week? And if this is you, there's no shame or judgment here. This is a skill. This is something that you can practice and learn. And it starts with having real practices and things that you're doing on a daily basis to ground into that consistency in terms of energy. Because people, when they experience you and your content, they feel that energy, whether you're aware of it or not, or whether they're aware of it or not. There's that sense of like resonance and connection that people will start to feel with you when you show up consistently, not only in terms of your content and output, but also in terms of your energy. And that consistency is what creates trust and builds that connection with someone else, which over time is probably one of the biggest keys to getting to six figures. And that brings us to number 9. This is a big one too. A lot of people don't talk about this, which is walking the walk. You as a coach are the walking billboard for the transformation that you are selling others. And one of the biggest keys to getting clients and scaling to six figures is people need to feel like you represent what is possible for them. In other words, if I was helping people get to six figures as a coach, but I wasn't actually running a six-figure business myself, there would be a lack of congruence there. And people would see that and they would say, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Why do I talk so much about how much money I make? It's not because I'm trying to talk about that all the time. It's because when I share that, it creates that congruence in that moment where somebody else goes, okay, Jason has already achieved what I'm wanting to achieve in my business. And so if he's done it personally, there's that sense of trust that, okay, he can probably help me do this too. This is what's happening with your clients too. They're looking at you and asking themselves, can I trust that this person can help me get to where I want to be? In terms of doing this, I think it's really about looking at all of the areas of your life where you might not be fully showing up as that person yet. Again, this is not about judgment. God knows I'm hard enough on myself. I don't need more judgment in my life, but looking at, your life and asking yourself, are there any areas where maybe there's a gap? Like, hey, I say that I'm, this on my social media, but maybe, when the camera's off, there's this other area of my life where I'm not really fully living up to that. And so once you can start to notice those things, you can start to close that gap. It's the little things. It's the things that you don't think are connected to your business. But remember, who you are shows up in every single area of your life, and you can't hide who you are. So working over time to close that gap. The more that there's that sense of alignment between what you're selling, essentially, which is a result, an outcome, a certain way of being, and who you authentically are, the more alignment there is there, the more congruence there's going to be, and the more energy you have working for you in terms of signing new clients. It's one of the biggest keys to scaling your business to six figures. And finally, that brings us to number 10, which is six-figure coaches own their uniqueness. The thing that attracts clients to you is, number 1, what you do and how you help people. That's the obvious one. So if you're a business coach, if someone needs help, with their business, they're going to want to hire you. So that's the most obvious layer. But there's also who you are. And who you are is another filter or another lens that people are constantly looking at and asking themselves, is this person someone I feel connected to on a human level? Do we share values? Do I feel like they're like me? And one of the biggest things that you have working for you when it comes to building a business is you. It's your own personal brand. It's who you are. It's how you show people that give people a real clear sense of who you are. And when you can do that well, what you do is you become a lighthouse to the right people. You can dial up what makes you most unique. And that makes you polarizing because certain people are going to see who you are and go, this person's not for me. They believe some things that I don't believe. Great. That's what we want. Because what that means is that the other people, your people, the people who are like a perfect fit for you, are going to see what you do and they're going to go, yes, like this person believes what I believe. They share my values. They've got this like weird quirk for, the music that they like that I also like. And the best coaches, the most successful coaches are masters at owning their uniqueness, at really dialing this up in terms of their marketing and becoming a lighthouse to the right people because of that. This is a big part of what we teach people how to do inside all of our programs, Coaching Launchpad. It's a big part of our marketing strategy and frameworks that we give you. We really show you how to do this because when you can do this well, you can start attracting clients much more consistently and just increase your income and ultimately get on track to that 6-figure mark as a result. So hopefully these 10 mindset keys should give you some clarity on some of the biggest changes you might think about integrating into your business to help you get on the fast track to making 6 figures. As I mentioned earlier, this is one big key to success as a coach, but there are a number of other things you've got to have in place in your business too if you want to make it to that 6-figure mark. And so if you're looking for clarity on a roadmap that you can follow to help you get on track to making 6 figures as a coach, I put together a free client attraction guide you're definitely going to want to check out too. Walks through so much of my best advice to help you make that happen. And all you got to do to get it is click the link above or in the description down below. And if you enjoyed this video, you're definitely going to love that one too. So click the link on the screen to go check that out, and I'll see you in the next video.